And that could win him this frame, that safety shot. This put Steve in a lot of trouble. I don't think Steve will be able to... Wow. Has he gone for the double? Is it in? It's in.
Steve Davis.
Wow, would you believe it?
Well, I know that Davis thought there was a chance of that, and as the safety was so difficult, he thought that he might as well attempt it in the belief that at that pace it would wriggle clear if he missed. But a big shot and a big outcome. It's 4-1 to Davis.
And a Henman-esque clenched fist from Steve Davis at the end of that one, Darren. Very important frame.
Very, very important. I mean, Ronnie's had a bad kick really on the blue. It was all over, you know, it was 3-2, but Steve Davis will be, well, we can see the kick. Steve Davis will be pleased that this missed the pocket by quite a way. Obviously, he didn't finish it off with his next visit, but left him with a shouting chance, and what a great double to pull off.
It's very kicky out there, very kicky, more so than it has been all week. What's the problem?
If I knew that, I'd be worth a fortune.
It was a nasty question to ask, wasn't it? But it's not unheard of for the bigger the occasion, the more kicky it gets, is it?
No, but the interesting bit is Ronnie hasn't played many shots all week with the rest. You know, so even though he had a kick as well, you know, he's played every shot that he needed with the rest left-handed, which I think is a good thing for him.
Do you see the double?
Let's see the double. And I got to be fair. If I'd been in a similar position, if I'm in a draw game and Cerise spotted black and I lose the toss, I always go for the double, because I always think it's better to go for something and lose the game on a positive note than a negative one.
That's why you're sliding down the rankings, obviously.
Well, thank you very much. When we're off here, I'll come over there. No, I'll bash you.
Ronnie having one or two problems with his tip all week. You mentioned it at the interval. I wonder if he's still having trouble.
Well, all I know is before they walked out, I seen him, you know, bashing the end of it with his little extension piece, and that suggests to me that the tip's a little bit soft for him. But for the way he's played through the tournament, if it's the same tip that's been on there all week, you know, he's got nothing to moan about, really.
Didn't have any problem with it last night, did he, Dominic?
No, I don't think the way he played against me, I'd be changing the tip. I'm sure it's the same tip. I don't really know why he did that, actually. It was a strange thing to do. It wouldn't have certainly made much difference to the tip, the way it played. Just a couple of little delicate taps. Anyway, back to the match in hand. And I just wonder, Clive, how much that fantastic double from Steve will have affected Ronnie.
Well, it's not only that. It's a bit of a shaker to lose a frame like that, but the fact that O'Sullivan had a kick on the frame ball blue, the combination of those two things, I think could have hit him pretty hard.
Yes, that would certainly fry your head, wouldn't it? Anyway,
foul.
Steve's missed that
Ronnie
red by
O'Sullivan,
an awful long way. But he's potted the blue. He's supposed to pot the red first, Steve, before attempting the colours. But he's left Ronnie a fairly easy opener. And although Ronnie is 4-1 down, I know he'll have full belief in himself to mount a comeback. And if he can win 2 out of these next 3 frames, he'll certainly set things up very nicely for this evening's session.
6. 7. 14. 15.
A tournament snooker player has got to play the frame in hand with full concentration without taking his mind back to what's just happened. Not always easy.
23.
But this is a good start for O'Sullivan. Davis, having missed his initial red by a wide margin. Perhaps he hadn't recovered mentally from
30.
the excitement of the last frame and
31.
didn't concentrate quite as he thought he was concentrating on the start of this one.
Cue ball seemed to
38.
rebound rather quickly there. I thought Ronnie might play this left-handed. He's very proficient.
39.
Playing both left-handed and right-handed. He could beat a lot of players left-handed, Clive. I think he's done a number of centuries using his left hand. So, you know, I've heard a lot of criticism over the years of Ronnie playing left-handed. It's a bit disrespectful and so on and so forth, but I think it's very advantageous to Ronnie. It's much easier to be having your hand on the table rather than actually using the rest, for positional reasons as well as for potting ones. You can manoeuvre that cue ball much easier without the rest.
Have to be careful with that. When he potted the red left-handed and screwed off the bunch, you have
44.
a right to expect something easier than that, either blue or pink to the middle. Oh, what a miss!
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 44.
A bad miss to rival the black off the spot he missed in the opening frame.
Well, he just came across this. He's missed that by a good inch. And it's all Clive because he's 4-1 down. I'm sure mentally he's okay in the frame, but there's just a little bit of pressure by the fact he's 4-1 down in this match and he needs to win frames.
And it's also, I think, Dominic, the fact that O'Sullivan has beaten Davis in their last 6 meetings. He's expected
8.
to win this match, a warm favourite, and certainly in his own mind a warm favourite. But
9.
he's got to justify those expectations in the arena, and it's sometimes not easy to win when you're supposed to.
That does bring its own pressure, I guess.
15.
If you can, you just need to go out there with the intention of performing to your best ability and forget anything else. Doesn't
16.
really matter what the public think you should win by or who you should beat, as long as you can just go out there and do a professional job.
There's young Greg watching his dad
23.
recover that initial deficit of 49 in this frame.
24.
He does play a little bit, doesn't he, Greg Clive, I believe? I think he's had a 60-odd break, hasn't he?
Yes, I think he's played in a couple of junior tournaments. I know he's very keen.
31.
I'd be playing golf if I was his age. There's more money in golf. Or tennis. He's probably watching Steve and thinking,
32.
it's me slow, isn't he?
Steve Davis is methodically potting the balls that Ronnie O'Sullivan should have been
38.
potting.
$39.
Took the plant because it opened up the other red for sure.
made a mess of that one. Cue ball was very close to that pink, and he just tried to jab
45.
into the cue ball with backspin and just come back for the red that's below the cue ball. He's now faced with a long straight one into the green pocket if he wants to continue this break. I'm sure he's going to take it on though. Just stealing himself for the shot. Doesn't need to do anything with the cue ball.
Steve Davis, 45.
Very disappointed. Not with wobbling that red, but his previous positional shot, which would have left him something much easier.
Yes, I still thought he'd get that one though. I just fancied him for that. It wasn't too difficult. He hasn't left Ronnie anything easy. Oh, I forgot it was Ronnie O'Sullivan at the table. I think anything's easy to this guy when he's playing well. That was a great pot. And another one on the pink. And that gives Ronnie a great chance now to go on and clinch his frame. He's 11 points ahead. These two reds, two colours, and maybe the yellow. This was very bold. He really does pot some incredible balls, Ronnie. You probably wouldn't have expected him to even take that one on, Clive.
It was a great shot in the circumstances, with the match starting to slide away from him. Very good, very timely.
$15.
So Davis had the chance to exploit a previous O'Sullivan error
16.
to increase his lead to 5-1. Now it's a pound to a gooseberry that O'Sullivan is going to reduce the gap to 4-2.
21. 23. 26. 30. 35.
O'Sullivan well over the line then. He went into the lead with a break of 44. Missed an easy one, but has got in again with 35 to reduce Davis's lead to 4-2. And the key shot in the end in that frame was a cracking long red from O'Sullivan, which was a great shot, and all the better because he just missed one which was very simple. So to make up for it in that way showed a great match temperament.
Yes, and also there's a lot of pressure on that. Those other two reds were in perfect positions, and Ronnie must have thought if it doesn't go in that long red, it's probably frame over. So that was a remarkable pot from Ronnie O'Sullivan. He really does strike that cue ball so beautifully. And I think, as I said in my interview last night, Clive, I think Ronnie O'Sullivan's cue action is one of the most beautiful things I've seen in sport. It's just, you know, it's just effortless and a rhythmic, beautiful cue action. I was just maybe I should stop watching him playing when I'm out there.
Well, you had plenty of chance to admire him last night.
Yes, thanks, Clive.
Frame 7. Ronnie O'Sullivan to break.
O'Sullivan attempting to win the two remaining frames of the session to be level at 4-all going into this evening's final session. Davis hoping to win at least one of them to carry a lead into this evening's play.
I think that's safe. Nothing available for O'Sullivan. Shouldn't be too much of a problem to get the cue ball back into bulk from here. The cue ball's running well, and that's going to find the bulk cushion. That's a great shot from Ronnie. These tables are very, very quick and not easy to judge the speed, as well as that one.
Looked like a pure containing safety, but maybe he thought that O'Sullivan would take the cue ball off the main bunch down towards the yellow pocket and leave him in turn a shot to nothing to the left corner, but O'Sullivan's just moved that red, so he was up to that one.
Yes, that was very well spotted, Clive. I was just thinking the same thing myself there. Ronnie has played a good safety here, and for Steve to play a containing safety.
Foul. On a miss.
How did that white not
Ronnie
make
O'Sullivan
contact
4.
with the red? I think Steve was surprised. It looked like it was just going to catch the edge of it.
Right over it, I didn't put it daylight there.
Well, I think O'Sullivan believed that Davis had hit that. Poor Collier was certain that he hadn't, but O'Sullivan didn't have the ball replaced, as he could have done. And in appreciation of that sporting gesture, Steve Davis just tapped the table.
Yes, that's, I think, the way it was, Clive. That's a good shot from Steve. Right in the jaws of the corner pocket. And he's got O'Sullivan in trouble. Always a bonus when the cue ball finds its way behind a bulk colour. You never intentionally play to leave the cue ball some 2.5 feet from the bulk cushion. I'm sure Steve will take it.
Multi-cushion escape. 1, 2, 3. Just past the middle pocket. No, caught the bump.
Foul and a miss. Steve Davis 4.
But for just catching the bump, Sullivan would have left the cue ball nestling nicely into the right-hand side of the bunch.
Judge that cannon to black fairly well, Steve. We won't be able to hold for any of the reds at the bottom of the pack. We'll have to play for the one that's by his sleeve. That's careless, Clive, isn't it?
8.
It was careless. Davis knows how fast the cloth is. Shouldn't have left himself having to bridge over the top of the blue. So what would have been a very simple red turned into one tricky enough to miss.
So,
1.
another excellent chance for Ronnie. He's just starting to miss a couple now, Steve, and make a couple of more elementary mistakes. That's so easy to do when the pressure's out, the pressure's on you out there. That was a very confident shot from Ronnie. And looks to split these reds very, very nicely. In
Eight.
excellent position still. Also have a choice of reds to left or right corner.
Nine. Sixteen. 17.
So far this afternoon, Sullivan's not got into full flight.
24.
His highest break so
25.
far is 58, in contrast to a 90 and 3 80s against Paul Hunter in the quarterfinals, and 2 centuries, an 80, a 60 and 4 more over 40 against
32.
my colleague for the afternoon, Dominic Dale, in last night's semi-final. But
33.
if he can make the most of this, then it's well on the cards that he could be 4-all at the interval, needing then only to win the final frame of the session.
Yes, and I'm sure Ronnie would be very pleased with 4-all because he knows he hasn't performed
40.
as well as he might have done so far this afternoon. I'm sure Steve will think if it did go 4-all, he's missed a bit of an opportunity to go into this evening's session with a chance of a lead.
41.
I'd be very surprised if Steve got back to the table in this frame.
47.
Already 39 points behind, just a few more of these loose reds will secure this frame for
48.
Sullivan.
$54. 55.
Davis will be fearing the worst here, all because he carelessly
61.
left himself having to play over the top of the blue for an otherwise easy red.
62. 68. 69. 75. 76.
I've not seen him miss a shot left-handed yet. Mind you, he is always playing at close quarters, but so useful to have that sort of skill.
83. 84.
Looks like we may see the first century of this afternoon's final.
91. 92.
The blue and this red. I'm sure Ronnie will be like fans with a century.
97. 98.
Just like shelling peas, although a lot more difficult. Made it look easy, but it's the art
107.
which conceals art.
$110. $114. $119.
The story of this frame simply told. Davis played a poor positional shot. What would otherwise have been a simple red.
125 on the frame, Ronnie O'Sullivan.
And O'Sullivan has made 125 from Davis's ensuing mistake to reduce the gap to a single frame. Davis now leads only by 4 frames to 3.
Ronnie's hitting his stride then. These breaks, though, are getting on my nerves a bit. I've got to be honest with you, Darren. Up and down and in and out, and they've left the arena again.
Well, obviously, you know, there's been a lot of talk about that this week, about these comfort breaks, but I think Terry hit the nail on the head earlier in the week. You know, you can't stop someone going to the toilet as long as that is what they're going to do. Some players say they're going to go to the toilet, just go out, stand outside for a couple of minutes and then walk back in, which really is, you know, is gamesmanship, really.
Yeah, I cannot believe that all of these breaks are genuine comfort breaks.
It all depends on how good their constitution is.
Put you in a spot there, I'm sorry about that. It's a lead for Steve Davis then, but it's being clawed back. It's 4-3 now, and Ronnie O'Sullivan appears to be hitting his stride. The last 3 frames, he's had decent breaks in all of them. 58, 31, 44 and 35. Those up to frame 6, and then another in frame 7. So it's the last 4, in fact, that have seen Ronnie O'Sullivan with the most significant contributions.
Yes, O'Sullivan has won 3 of the last 4 frames. And he's made a good start to this one.
1.
It's often the end if you leave O'Sullivan able to play from away from the baulk cushion. That break-off shot so very important. How often have we seen O'Sullivan win the frame from the opening shot?
Yes, Clive, he did that against me last night. 4th frame, I thought I'd done a good 5th frame rather. First one in resumption after the interval. I thought I'd played a perfectly good, acceptable break-off shot. And that was the only shot I had in that frame. O'Sullivan made, I think, 107 from it. That's a nice guy, isn't he? But the trouble is with these cushions, they do slide so much. Sometimes the only way you can stop that long pot being available to somebody and get the cue ball behind the green is to actually have the cue ball off the cushion to give it a chance to run out behind the green. It's hard to get that cue ball on the baulk cushion behind the green. They just slide too much, these cushions, to do that sometimes. So it's
13.
quite a common problem.
O'Sullivan taking the first opportunity to go into the bunch, mindful
20.
that there was a red at the back, but this was Davis's break-off shot. Looked perfectly all right, but
21.
left O'Sullivan a chance from distance, sort of chance that very often he knocks in.
Just have a look at the keyboard here. Oh, this is the long play. I thought you were going to see the break-off shot again, my mistake. But yes, I mean, those are shots to nothing as well, so there's not a lot of pressure attached to those shots. And, you know, players should really, at this level, expect to, if not make them, get within a fraction of potting them, because they're not as difficult
36.
maybe as they look.
$37.
My word. Heard of picking your nails, but not picking your chalk, Clive.
$44. 45.
It goes for 45. With the angle Ronnie has on the blue, I think we'll be seeing him going into this cluster of reds. Just needs one good split.
50.
He'll be very pleased with the contact he's made on those. And he can get through to this red. Well, if it does go 4-all from here, we're set up for an enthralling final session to this match this evening. And it resumes at 7:30 tonight. A couple more of these loose reds will see Ronnie home.
58. 59.
I was saying when O'Sullivan stroked in the initial long red from Davis's break-off shot, how often have we seen O'Sullivan win the frame from
64.
an initial long red like that?
65.
He's won this one, and it looks like back-to-back centuries coming up.
72.
Let's just see if this commentator's curse, Clive, comes into effect.
73. 80.
Enough balls remaining for O'Sullivan to become the front runner
81.
for the highest break prize, which has stood to Stuart Petman with 137 from the opening round with blacks. O'Sullivan
88.
can make 139, and the highest break is worth £5,000.
Yes, Clive, it's quite a low highest break we have at the moment of 137. Usually you have some in the low 140s that wins the event's highest break prize.
89.
I remember some years ago in the UK Championships I made 140 against Ken Doherty, and nice guy Ronnie, it cost me £10,000 for making a 141 in the semis against Mark Williams. And,
96.
what made me really sick, I don't think there was a century break in the whole of the final either, so
97.
he's certainly a big break maker of some repute, this man, isn't he?
Centuries in consecutive visits then for O'Sullivan. He polished off the last frame with 125. This is his first visit to the table in this frame. He's 112.
112.
And progressing towards a likely 139.
Yes, I wonder where Stuart Petman is right at this moment. Is he watching this somewhere maybe? I was out having a meal in Cardiff City Centre and someone texted me the bad news that Ronnie beaten my break and cost me 10 grand, Clive. Didn't help my meal go down all that well, I'm afraid. I think I was being resuscitated somewhere afterwards.
$126.
Hasn't had the cue ball on the tightest of strings the last couple of shots, but he's landed perfectly now.
132.
Ronnie O'Sullivan was 4-1 down, but has taken the last 3 frames of the afternoon. The last 2 with breaks of 125 and 139 to level at 4-all going into this evening's final session.
And could it be that Ronnie O'Sullivan's already £5,000 to the good? The highest break of the championship, that, overtaking Stuart Petman's 137. I don't know. I suspect Stuart Petman could use £5,000, a little more than Ronnie O'Sullivan at the moment. Steve Davis, I don't think will enjoy his pie and chips as much now as maybe he would have done a little bit earlier on in the afternoon, Darren.
Well, no, he wouldn't have expected to have been 4-1 up, and he'll have been thinking, if I can just win one more. So as he was taking a 2-frame lead into night session, you know, he'd have fancied his chances. Not saying that he isn't from here, still all to play for each. By no means has he lost a match, but Ronnie is starting to look good now.
More snooker to come later on. Football scores for you now, though, before we get off to the tennis. Manchester City and Spurs will have to replay in the 4th round of the FA Cup, a 1-1 draw at the City of Manchester Stadium. First Division West Ham United are through, though, 3-1 winners at Premiership Wolves. Sheffield United leading Nottingham Forest by 3-0. It's goalless in another all-Premiership tie. That's Everton against Fulham, and they're just about to get underway at the Sixfield Stadium, Northampton against Manchester United. Now, we're back tonight, where we'll play to a finish in this enthralling Welsh Open snooker final. It's 4-all at the moment between Ronnie O'Sullivan and Steve Davis. 7:30 the time on BBC Two Wales and BBC 2W. For now, though, we'll leave you in the company of Craig Doyle. He's taking over at the helm for Sunday Grandstand, and we shall join the tennis. It's the Australian Open, and places up for grabs in the quarter-finals of the competition. Andre Agassi, the man we're going to focus on now, up against the 13th seed Paradorn Srishapan, and we'll join it with Agassi going very well indeed, and commentary from John Barrett and from Pat Cash. We'll see you later.
The table's ready, the audience await. The players are queued up, so sit back and enjoy world-class sporting action as BBC Two Wales brings you the final frames of the Welsh Open Snooker 2004, presented by Oliver Hydes.
O snooker muse, I invoke thee. O snooker muse, in sleep I have dreamed of thee. I have heard words whispered in the wind. Now come to me and reveal thyself. I see colours, I see reds, many reds. I see yellow, green, brown, I see blue, pink, black. I see gold. I see a golden nugget from the dim and distant past. I see sparks moving quickly, like a rocket.
Good evening. It's anyone's guess as to whose might be the first name on this new trophy, because after the afternoon session, Steve Davis and Ronnie O'Sullivan start tonight with a clean slate. Effectively, it's the best of 9.
Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Davis and Ronnie O'Sullivan.
Poised perfectly at 4-all. First to 9 wins it. And in the commentary box this evening, John Evans, and alongside him, it's good evening to Darren Morgan.
Thank you. Noswaith dda, a very good evening. A warm welcome. What excitement do both players have in store for us tonight? A splendid afternoon.
Thank you, frame 9. Ronnie O'Sullivan to break.
That's a good opening shot by Ronnie O'Sullivan. There's only left this containing safety for Steve Davis. Certainly red Steve could see. The interval probably came at the right time for Steve Davis this afternoon. Ronnie started absolutely flying. Fresh start tonight. He could do with the start that he had to begin this match. Steve, of course, that is.
Started with a 40th, followed by a 74, 2 breaks of 13 and 42, establishing a 3-0 lead. And Ronnie O'Sullivan took his time to get going this afternoon, Darren.
Yes, John, but when he did get going, he started absolutely flying. I mean, the last two frames, 125 and 139. Doesn't get much better than that. And in the last couple of frames, that red would have disappeared. Like I said, this will have suited Steve Davis a little bit better tonight. Because I think if it carried on earlier on, he probably would definitely have got beat. Again, it's all square now, all to play for.
Clean pot and an escape. And prime position on the green.
Four. Five.
So watching on, there we have Bill Davis, Steve's father, on the right, smoking the cigar. And then we got Steve's son Greg in the middle. Obviously he's the little one. 3 generations of Davises. Obviously the other one is this man at the table, Mr. Steve Davis.
Elder statesman Bill travels everywhere with Steve. This is the first time that Greg has seen his dad play live. Well, in a tournament anyway.
10.
Yes. In the early years, you got no emotion out of Steve Davis. The latter years, he shows a lot more. Wears his heart more on his sleeve. He wasn't happy with the positional shot from the blue to this red. It's made the shot a little bit more awkward. It's a good pot. Needs a little bit of luck. That's okay.
11.
So this is turning into quite a good opportunity. The blue doesn't go on his own spot. He's had a little look. It don't go on the pink, so he's putting it onto the brown spot. That's the only
16.
thing now with this effort. It's made a little bit awkward. Black's tied up. Pink is near enough out of commission. He'll be disappointed
Steve
with
Davis,
that.
16.
Good attempt, but what has he left?
What's going to make it awkward for Steve Davis? So the fact that all the colours are in not very inviting positions. Once he plays this yellow go back on its own spot, so he's going to have a lot of travelling up and down the table.
Three. Four.
Stopped just short. I think it is pocket bound.
Pink's a lot more of a difficult shot, but I think the pink passes the reds into the, well, it goes into both corner pockets, but the left black pocket, it's an harder shot. If it does go in, if the pink doesn't go on its own spot, it'd go back onto the blue. And looks like he's going to keep it tight. I can't imagine he's going to go for this blue. If he's going to play a pot, it'll definitely be this pink. Otherwise, it's going to be a safety. That's a good shot. It's a good positive shot from Steve Davis.
I think he was forced into the attempt
10.
because of the danger of this red on the left-hand pocket.
$11.
Just the wrong side of the pink. Should be no problem, bisecting yellow and blue and coming for his next red. Or indeed green and blue. That is his choice. Uh.
17.
Pot still on, but difficult.
Touching ball.
He'll be upset with himself. There's 2 reasonable chances he's had in this opening frame tonight. And the reason why Steve Davis has made this final is because he's scored really heavily all week. And I think he'd be first to say today he hasn't scored as high as he would have liked.
Steve Davis, 17.
No risk, snooker.
He has actually given Ronnie a shot of this red into the middle pocket, and the cue ball would push the black towards the corner. Obviously the red would have to go in. Steve has given him an half chance. Yes, that was a bad mistake by Steve.
1.
What a super shot.
$8. $9.
That one hasn't quite gone to plan. Still got the shot into the right pocket,
16.
a little bit thinner cut than he'd have liked. Can try and drop it in dead weight to stay on the pink, or go up for one of the bulk colours.
$17.
Well played shot. And if Ronnie was to clear up from this effort, it would hurt Steve Davis. It's unlike Steve to
23.
give a way out for anybody, but it was a careless shot. Probably didn't give it a thought at the time that he was leaving a natural angle in pot and the red to move the black towards the corner.
$24. 31.
Just over 3 minutes ago, he was trailing by 33 points. He's now within a point.
32.
Yes, John. And if this pink was to go in, it'll be the first time in this final that Ronnie O'Sullivan has actually been ahead in the mat.